Heart of a Champion, Chapter 13. I kept expecting Mr. Winter to show up at Henry Ford with Jimmy, but he never did. Jimmy never mentioned anything about his father moving back into the house, either. It didn't take a genius to figure out something had gone wrong. One weekend, toward the end of February, the rain fell so hard, Jimmy and I were stuck playing wiffle ball in my garage. I propped up a milk crate on top of an old box. Any ball that went into the crate was a strike. On the opposite wall, we drew lines. If the ball hit above the highest line, it was a homer. The next highest was a triple, and so on. There's no way to throw a wiffle ball fast. It flutters like a knuckleball. You have to stay back on the ball and adjust your swing as you're swinging. Jimmy's bat speed didn't do him any good. The first game we played, I trounced him 11-3. Not that it should have been any big deal, but Jimmy didn't like losing. "Let's play again," he said as soon as he struck out to the end of the game. I passed him 8-2, then 7-4. "Another game," he insisted, both times immediately after the final out. "Come on, Jimmy," I said after I'd beaten him again. "Let's do something else." But he wouldn't quit. We'd played Saturday and Sunday. Sometime in there, winning the games became as important to me as it was to him. I could feel how badly he wanted to beat me, and that made me want to make sure he didn't. They were stupid wiffle ball games in the garage, but we played like they were the World Series. We crashed into the wall to take away doubles and triples. We argued about balls that hit on the line. We shredded our elbows trying to throw rainbow curves and hard sliders. We must have played 20 games that weekend, and I won them all. When Jimmy left Sunday, we were hardly talking. The next weekend came up sunny, and I was glad of it. I didn't want to spend any more time cooped up in the dark garage playing wiffle ball and being mad. Besides, Babe Ruth tryouts were coming up. I needed practice hitting fastballs, not wiffle balls. But being out in the sunshine hadn't taken the fire out of Jimmy. He didn't say anything, but that whole afternoon he didn't seem right. It was during my batting practice that it happened. The pitcher's mound at Henry Ford was muddy from the rain. Jimmy had trouble with his follow-through, and I suppose that slowed down his fastball a touch. Anyway, I caught a pitch on the screws and sent a rocket to left. I kept waiting for the ball to bounce, but instead of coming down, it soared over the fence. "A dinger!" I screamed, and I threw both my arms up in the air. I did a little dance, tipped my cap to imaginary fans in the bleachers, flexed my biceps. Jimmy didn't laugh. "One lucky swing doesn't make you Babe Ruth," he yelled. "What's eating you?" I asked. "Nothing's eating me. Just get back in the box." I took my spot in the batter's box, dug in a little, then nodded that I was ready. But I wasn't ready. Not for what came. It was a fastball, high and tight, right at my head, that sent me sprawling into the dirt. The ball smacked into the backstop, and I was up and yelling, "You trying to kill me?" It was an accident. "That was no accident." Jimmy glared. "Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you need to know what you'll get if you show up a pitcher." "We're practicing, Jimmy, and you're not a pitcher." "I'm telling you, Seth, don't show me up. And I'm telling you, don't throw at my head. Get back in the box." I wiped the dirt off my pants, picked up my bat, stepped back in. I scowled at him, but the truth is, my knees felt like jello. I'd never had a beanball come that close, and it had taken the heart right out of me. I could feel the ball against the side of my head. I could feel it splintering the bones, bruising the tissues, bursting the blood vessels. My mind went back to the model of the human head at the trial. Jimmy's pitch could have killed me. Maybe he didn't know it, but I did. It took every ounce of courage I possessed to stay in the box. The next day, neither of us mentioned what had happened, but neither of us had forgotten it. Jimmy kept the ball out over home plate. After a while, my knees firmed up and I started swinging normally. I even nailed another home run, but I didn't act any differently than when I dribbled a grounder at the first base line. "Nice hitting," Jimmy said when I was done, and I knew he meant it. "Thanks," I replied. We walked in silence toward the street. "I'm sorry about yesterday," Jimmy said when we reached his block. "I shouldn't have thrown at you." "Forget it," I said. "I shouldn't have been showboating either."